All righty. The man standing behind me is DJ Sheutze, friend, partner of Hope Worldwide, the San Diego Church, and just an incredible man. I'll introduce him with just one story, that he is actually a California boy from Southern California. He now operates the Door of Faith Orphanage in Mexico. It's about 45 minutes south. He lives down there, but was on a trip just taking a machine part to a friend to the orphanage. When he got to the orphanage, he was just around, sat down next to a young kid who had just gotten there, didn't speak the language, but that short interaction with a young boy who had just come, it was his first day at the orphanage, so changed his life that he sold his business, moved to Mexico, rescued the Door of Faith Orphanage, and it is now a model of orphanages around the world. They fly him around the world to communicate how can we model and reciprocate, figure out what you have done. Last year they hosted 300 mission trips and continue to flourish as an agency. So he is more than qualified, not just in experience, but in heart, to help communicate reciprocal mission. So I give you DJ Sheutze.
Thank you. I want to thank Wade for that wonderful introduction. He makes me sound way cooler than I am. It's an honor to be here. I've been inspired working with Hope Worldwide for a while now, and to see the impact their teams have had when they come down to our home in Baja, just an hour or so south of here. And it's been inspiring to see the other speakers last night, this morning already. And the big question I have is, why am I here? Much bigger caliber than I am. My gift to you, what I want to come today and share about, what I want to give to you is encouragement. Okay? You're doing some incredible work. But I want us to look at a bigger parameter. It's important to see where we're coming from and what the reality is. Not that one. We are going to die. You are going to die. You have an expiration date. And we don't think about that enough. We have a limited time here. You will hit room temperature. Okay? And if you're in the U.S., if you're living in the U.S., and there's people from all over the world, if you're living in the U.S., what will happen is, it's an odd tradition. Every country deals with different ways. In America, they put you in a box. People you probably don't know will put you in the ground, and your friends and family will go back to someone else's house and eat potato salad. Okay. I don't know why potato salad is such a big deal in mourning in America, but it is. But while they're eating that potato salad, what will they say? Okay. We will have left this world. We'll be dancing in heaven. But what will they be saying while they're eating the potato salad? Last night, we saw an incredible tribute, and a well-deserved tribute to Bob Gimbel and the work he's done. And at no point did anybody say what car he drove, what kind of house he had. They talked about the impact he had on other people. Ultimately, what lasts is the relationships that we build, the impact we have on other people's lives. Whether it's for a moment or for decades, how do we touch, encourage, and inspire those that are around us? And that's what I want to talk about, the idea of reciprocal. Relationships are reciprocal. It's give and take. It's not one-sided. We all have something to give, and we all have something to learn. And that's so critical in missions, in short-term missions. As Wade shared, my team hosts over 300 missions teams a year. We've seen the best, we've seen the worst. There's a lot of really wonderful people, there's a lot of people with great hearts. There are also some teams that do a lot of damage. But when it's done right, missions changes lives. And this room is a testimony to that. But it's all in the process. What is our focus? What do we focus on while we're on a trip? It's not just about the project. It's not even the end goal. It's not the program. It's not the big events. It's the small moments where we can build relationships. I want to tell you about an interesting ministry. Okay? Okay. The bathroom ministry. Okay. Several years ago, my wife and I were on a short-term trip to Malawi, a little tiny country in the middle of Africa. I had to Google it and figure out where it was. And we landed at the airport. And it is a tiny, tiny airport in Malawi, still developing. It was just this mass of sweaty humanity. As we were getting off the plane, we were trying to organize the team, and we were warned. We were told by everybody, avoid the people in the orange vests. The people in the orange vests work the airport. They're wearing these orange vests, and they will fight to carry your luggage from the plane to get it on the taxi for the tips. And we were warned, avoid the orange vests. It was almost a mantra, avoid orange vests. Well, we land at the airport, and I turn around, and my wife is gone. Okay, not a good start. Okay, I've lost my wife already. To this day, she claims she told me where she was going, but that's not the first time I've been accused of not listening to my wife. So 5 minutes of panic, I finally see her coming over out of the restroom. She had gone to the restroom. And she was arm in arm with this young girl wearing this bright orange vest. Okay. She had gone into the restroom and met this girl. And they came out as friends. I don't know about you, guys here. I usually don't go to a restroom looking to make a new friend, but whatever. She came out, and they were arm in arm. There was a moment at the sink, and she turned and asked the question. My wife didn't see this person as someone scary. She didn't see it as someone she had to avoid. It was a young person trying to survive. And she talked to her. How was your day? What's your life like? It was a moment of connection. Reciprocal. Listening to the other person. Asking questions. There's power in the bathroom ministry. Those moments that are opened up to us where it can be reciprocal with each other, where we have those moments where we touch each other. Jesus did some of his best work by the side of the road. It wasn't just the big events, it was the woman at the well. What do you seek? Jesus asked a lot of questions. What do you need? What do you seek? We need to do that. It's not just about us arriving and changing the world. We are changing the world, but we need to do it together with the people that we're working with. A couple of examples. Many of you have been on home building trips. We host a lot of groups down that build homes in Baja, which is great. Some are great, some not so great. We have one group from Pella, Iowa that does a fantastic job. They build a nice house. They work alongside the family, but they're very relational, but they take it to a different level. This group's been coming every year for about a decade. They build 2 or 3 houses a year. And that's great. You guys know the routine. Okay, you pray for the family, you hand over the keys. It's great. Okay, but they just started doing something different. They really got to know the families. They would go back home, and they would fly somebody out for birthdays. They would come back for family events. They stayed regular Facebook friends. And then they started doing something different. Now when they come out, they invite all the people they built houses for to come together for a big reunion. And it's incredible. 30, 40 families coming together with this church from Pella, Iowa. And it's a big potluck, and we play baseball, and it's just a community event today. It's about the relationship. It wasn't Pella showing up to give away a house. It was a connection. It was a reciprocal. It was a giving to each other. It was connecting at a deeper level. And that's what we talk about when we say reciprocal missions. It's important to connect and listen. I want to give another example. Okay. Pigs. We have pigs at our orphanage. Not a lot of pigs, half dozen pigs, okay? They're cute, they take care of the slop. Our kids like to raise them, that's good. Okay, I gave a tour. We give a lot of tours at the orphanage, and somebody pulled me aside afterwards and said, I need to talk to you. And it sounded urgent. I said, okay. And he pulled me aside, and with as much urgency as he could muster, you really should be walking your pigs. Okay. Well, no, it's good for the pigs. They would be healthier and they would be happier. And I'm like, okay. So you want me to not spend time with my 100 kids and not spend time with the group, so you want me to walk my pigs? I said, yeah, it'd be great for the pigs. I like bacon. I like happy bacon. But it was all about him telling me how to run the ministry. His heart was in the right place. He worried about our pigs. But it was his idea. He didn't once ask me a question. He wasn't interested in connecting. He was there to lecture and tell us how we should be doing it. It wasn't a reciprocal relationship. It was a lecture on proper pig raising. Yeah. His heart was in the right place, but it was about his agenda. And it needs to be about our agenda when we're on a trip. To listen to the people, to ask the questions. As I said earlier, Jesus spent a lot of time listening. It wasn't just teaching or lecturing or helping. He connected at a deeper level than most of us can ever dream of. We need to listen, and it changes the dynamic. Several years ago, I went with a trip, a small team. We were visiting an orphanage in Ghana. And it's a good example. We just listened. We were sitting with the directors, and we were having a conversation. It's a small team. We're there to do some consulting work. And I asked the director, well, what do you worry about? And he gave the pat evangelical answer, I just trust in God. We never worry. It's like, okay, yeah, but you worry. And it took a while to break through, but it's just, I kept asking the questions. A lot of times the first question doesn't get through. And we kept pushing, and I couldn't get him to share what his need was, what hurt him. And I finally, something clicked. I said, what keeps you up at night? And it suddenly became real, because we all have those things where we lay in bed at night going, this is what's worrying me about my ministry. And it opened an incredible door. And years later, we still have a great relationship, and I still remember that moment that he opened up and he broke down, but it took a lot of probing questions. And it also showed that myself and the team were interested. We weren't just there to tell him how to run his orphanage. We weren't there to tell him how to run his school. We wanted to listen, to build that relationship. And something powerful happens when we listen. There's so much great stuff out there. There's so much we can learn from others. There is power in going there, going out, to visiting others, and it's okay to receive. I love when people leave our home and they say, I'm leaving with so much more than I came with. That's the way it should be. And we have so much to learn. That same trip to Ghana, we were in the worship service. They were dedicating a new church building. It was a big deal. And we had our small team there, so they were very, very polite. They were very cordial to us. They did a great job. And they opened up with worship, and it was very, very cool. It was a little Americanized, which kind of surprised me, kind of your standard Hillsong stuff, and it was good. They did a good job. But then they kind of turned, and it was almost with a smirk, said, okay, now we're going to worship. My gosh, these people know how to worship. They went crazy. It was great. Worship went on for an hour and a half. And everybody was sweaty and dancing and loud and yelling. And I was struck by, my gosh, I had no idea what worship could be. Experience the people you're with. Grow with the people we're with. It changes our lives. It changes our faith. When we experience worship at a level that we've never experienced before. Go and spend time with a pastor in Cuba who has to really suffer for the ministry. And you realize what faith is. Build relationships with people who inspire. Your life will be better. Your ministry will be better. It'll help you take on that image of Christ as we learn how to listen to others and connect at that reciprocal give and take depth that we need. Go and do great stuff. I've heard so many wonderful, wonderful stories about Hope Worldwide and what's been going on around the world. We've been taking the trip around the world, hearing wonderful reports. Go and bring joy. There's a phrase we use, and I'll close with this, and Wade and the people on the timer are going, yes, he's closing. There's a phrase we use around our office that we usually don't put on the newsletter. All groups bring joy. Some when they arrive, some when they leave. Okay. Be that group that brings joy when you arrive. Okay. Thank you very much.